Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. My name is Nathan. I am 38 years old and I am a sales rep for an insurance company. I never thought I would go through something like this. I love my wife Olivia dearly, but recent events have made me question everything. I can't confide in my friends and family because it's just too embarrassing. I suspect that my coworkers may be having an inappropriate relationship with my wife, and the evidence seems to be getting stronger. My encounter with Olivia was filled with romance. It was the fall of 2016 in a busy coffee shop in Boston. I had planned to go to another store, but it was too crowded. While waiting in line, I noticed this beautiful 30-year-old woman. She was waiting for her cousin to get off work. When her eyes met mine, I was struck by her beauty. We chatted, and the atmosphere was relaxed and happy. I bought her a pumpkin latte, and through the humor of the conversation, I felt like I had made a lasting impression on her. Finally, I asked for her phone number. After that, I went all out to pursue her. We dated, went to events, and hung out with friends. Once we were officially together, the relationship heated up quickly. Eventually, we established a relationship on a weekend getaway, and it was awesome. In 2019, we got married and soon had 3 children, 2 daughters with a son in the middle. Life got busy and we stopped going to bars or concerts as often, but still made time to enjoy the world as a couple. Not only does Olivia have a great personality, she's also stunningly beautiful, like a combination of Gal Gadot and Eva Mendes. She is well-built and has dark brown curly hair that is always tied up in a casual bun. She had several elaborate tattoos, which made her look sexy and mysterious at the same time. My friends are envious that I could marry such a wife. Olivia is Hispanic and is popular on Instagram, especially when she posts beach photos. However, my suspicions about my wife intensified starting last Wednesday. The turn of events began with an unexpected phone call. I was about to leave work when I heard a coworker mention my name on the phone. Out of curiosity, I asked him who he was talking to. It turned out to be our old coworker, Tyler, who had left the company. Tyler told me that he moved to Seattle and got a better job there. At the end of the small talk, he said he had something important to tell me. I gave him my phone number, and he immediately called and asked me not to drive away for a while. Tyler asked me if Olivia still visits me at work regularly. I confirmed that she does come. Then he broke the shocking news that he believed my coworkers had been fooling around with my wife. According to Tyler's account, he had seen them flirting with Olivia while I was at work, openly expressing a desire to be with her. Even more disturbing, Olivia started visiting them on Saturdays when she was working late. Tyler hinted that they might have had sex with Olivia one Saturday. He says that at one point he heard loud Latin music playing in the office, which was unusual. Tyler describes a disturbing scene where Olivia danced for them and they ran their hands over her body. He said everyone saw the scene and they even lifted up her skirt, revealing her underwear. Tyler emphasized that Olivia didn't stop them and instead laughed and continued to dance. I was completely shocked to hear this. I asked Tyler if he was sure, and he insisted that he had seen it with his own eyes. He also mentioned the tattoos on Olivia's body, which added even more credibility to his words. Tyler apologized and said he thought I should have known about them. After hanging up the phone, I felt ashamed and angry. I began to think back on Olivia's behavior over the past few months, and suddenly many of the details became suspicious. She had often claimed to be visiting Sophia, one of my female coworkers, but now it seemed that it might have been just a cover. I decided that I needed to look more closely at Olivia's behavior for more evidence. Later that evening, Olivia came home and I tried to talk to her. I asked her if she had seen Sophia, and she admitted that she had, but denied seeing anyone else. This obvious lie reinforced my belief that Tyler was telling the truth. Immediately after our conversation, she began texting her friends, an act that made me feel even more hurt and betrayed. From that day on, I was stuck in a cycle of depression, anger, and sadness. I knew I needed more evidence, but the situation was very tricky. I couldn't risk losing my job, and I didn't want to face Olivia's family without hard evidence. I decided to take action and ordered a voice-activated recording device in hopes of uncovering the truth. I knew that the next few days were going to be an uphill battle, but I had to find out what was really going on. Over the next few days, I began to watch Olivia's behavior more closely. I noticed that she was spending more and more time on her cell phone, often talking to her mother and her sister Carmen. More disturbingly, she began to visibly distance herself from me, rejecting my closeness, claiming she didn't want to make out while the kids were home. These excuses were sounding more and more far-fetched. I started to think back to whether I had missed any warning signs before Tyler's call. In retrospect, there were so many suspicious signs. Olivia was always receiving compliments and attention on her Instagram posts, inappropriate comments, and likes from thousands of men. I've always tried not to be a jealous person, but it really affected my confidence. As an insurance sales rep, I'm used to dealing with all kinds of relationships, but I've never felt more overwhelmed by my wife's potential infidelity. One night, I noticed Olivia making late-night phone calls in the backyard. I quietly walked over to the patio door and listened carefully to what she was saying. I could clearly hear her talking to someone, using disturbing phrases such as, "Come on, you're crazy," and discussing places they had been. I even heard her mention not going to a certain place, which I suspected might be his home. These secret conversations made my heart sink to the bottom. Things got even more suspicious last Saturday when Olivia told me she was planning to go to a yoga class and wanted me to babysit the kids. I immediately suspected she might be meeting my coworkers and lied that I had an important client meeting and would be home late. She was ready to go out, dressed in tight yoga clothes and looking more well-groomed than usual. When I tried to get her to change her plans, she became very insistent and didn't even kiss her goodbye on her way out as usual. When I got home that night, Olivia's attitude was terrible. She accused me of ruining her day and said that she had missed important lessons. When I tried to reason with her, she angrily said she didn't care about my feelings. This reaction only further confirmed my suspicions. A few days later, it got worse. I came home from work to find Olivia all dressed up and obviously ready to go out. She was wearing a tight dress I'd never seen before, and her makeup was thicker than usual. When I asked her where she was going, she said vaguely that she was going out for a drink with a friend and asked me to watch the kids. I pressed for details, but she refused to answer, accused me of trying to control her, and left with a dismissive attitude. I was very angry because I could clearly see what she was thinking. She was still frustrated about not being able to meet with my coworkers last Saturday, and it was clear she was now going to make up for that missed opportunity. I felt helpless and angry, but didn't know how to stop her. That night, Olivia didn't get home until 2:30 a.m. Throughout the night, I kept texting her, but only got perfunctory replies, and eventually she even told me to leave her alone. When she finally came home, we broke out into a heated argument. I confronted her about why she came home so late, and she argued that she was just talking to her friends at the bar. I didn't believe it at all and pointed out that she had never been home this late before. The noise of the argument woke up our son, Max, who came out to ask what was going on. Olivia took the opportunity to say she didn't want to argue anymore and stormed off into the bedroom. I let Max play his favorite video game for a while and then decided to continue confronting Olivia. However, when I walked into the bedroom, I was completely shocked by what I saw. Olivia was undressing and I could see that she was wearing a black lace thong. This was the kind of lingerie I had never seen her wear before. It covered almost nothing. Olivia obviously wasn't expecting me to come in. She gave me a warning look and then took her nightgown and went to the bathroom. I stood there in disbelief, my mind reeling. I had never seen Olivia in sexy lingerie like this before. She's had sexy lingerie before, but it's been a long time since she's worn it. The only time I'd seen her wear something similar was when we went on vacation to Miami and she wore a sexy bikini for her Instagram photos. But even that doesn't compare to these panties I just saw. That scene completely crushed me. I decided to sleep in the guest room that night because I knew things were going to get really awkward after seeing that. I couldn't sleep with the image of what I had just seen repeating over and over in my mind. I began to wonder if our entire marriage had been built on lies. The next day, I was determined to take action. I ordered a fancy voice-activated recording device and arranged for it to be delivered to my best friend Kevin's address so as not to arouse Olivia's suspicions. I knew I needed hard evidence to prove my suspicions, not only for myself, but also for our children. In the meantime, I tried to communicate with Olivia. I raised concerns about her behavior, emphasizing the need to balance her social life with her family responsibilities. I said that she could go out with her friends, but that her impulsive behavior and not telling me where she was going was causing problems. Olivia seemed to accept my point of view and agreed to be more mindful of our family. She even suggested that we should arrange a family trip, which gave me a glimmer of hope. However, right in the middle of our conversation, her cell phone rang. From her reaction, I suspected it was my coworker calling. She quickly walked to the balcony to answer the call, her voice muffled. This again triggered my suspicion and concern. I felt that the trust between us was eroding little by little. A few days later, Olivia told me she was taking the kids to the zoo. I thought this would be a great opportunity for her to spend more time with the kids. However, shortly after they left, my nephew Alex called and asked if he could come over to my house to borrow my game console. During the conversation, he overheard mentioning seeing Olivia dropping the kids off at their grandparents' house instead of going to the zoo. This lie completely devastated me. I immediately called Olivia, but she didn't pick up. I even called Emily, the receptionist at my workplace, and asked her if she had seen Olivia because I wanted to make sure that Olivia was really with my coworker. Emily hesitated and then confirmed that she did see Olivia enter the office. I felt a wave of vertigo after getting this news. I decided to go to the company myself to find out what was going on. My heart was filled with anger and angst, but I knew I had to face the truth, no matter how excruciating it was. As I drove, my hands trembled on the steering wheel, and my heart beat so fast it felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. I knew that the next scene I might face would change my life forever. I drove to the office, my heart filled with a variety of emotions. As an insurance sales representative, I was used to dealing with all sorts of emergencies with my clients, but at this moment I felt more overwhelmed than ever. I found Olivia's car in the parking lot, which further confirmed my suspicions. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the building where I had worked for nearly several years. The normally familiar office environment seemed unusually depressing at the moment. I walked quietly through the corridors, my heartbeat roaring in my ears. Intuitively, I walked towards the employee lounge, a secluded corner usually used for relaxation and informal meetings. As I got closer, I could hear whispered conversations and music. I cautiously approached and peered in through the half-open doorway. What I saw made me feel instantly turned upside down. Olivia was sitting on my coworker Ryan's lap, and they were kissing intimately. Ryan's hands were all over Olivia's body, and she looked like she was enjoying herself very much. I felt a wave of disgust and anger wash over me. Instinctively, I pulled out my cell phone and started recording. Despite screaming inside, years of professional training kept me calm. I knew this video could play a key role in future divorce proceedings. I recorded about 15 seconds and then couldn't take it anymore and stormed into the room. "This is what you guys are doing?" I yelled, my voice filled with pain and anger. Olivia and Ryan both jumped in shock and quickly separated. Olivia looked both surprised and annoyed as she stood up and straightened her messy clothes. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" she asked, a hint of impatience in her tone, as if I was interrupting something important. Unable to control my emotions, I growled at her. "This is the way you treat our marriage? This is how you treat our children?" Incredibly, Olivia didn't seem embarrassed or regretful. Instead, she seemed more worried about being crashed by me. She rolled her eyes and said, "Nathan, will you grow up? This is none of your business." I continued to question her, but her response shocked me even more. "I don't love you anymore, Nathan," she said coldly. "It's been a long time." The words were like a sharp knife, stabbing right into my heart. I felt a sharp pain as if my whole world was falling apart. I stared into Olivia's eyes, hoping to see a glimmer of regret or apology in them, but all I saw was indifference and boredom. Ryan stood by, looking both embarrassed and uneasy. He tried to say something, but I interrupted him. "Don't say anything," I snapped. "You two are disgusting." I turned to Olivia and said in a shaky voice, "I want a divorce." She just shrugged and said, "Whatever," as if our several years of marriage, our 3 children, meant nothing to her. I turned and left the room, feeling my legs as heavy as lead. In the hallway, A few of my coworkers looked at me curiously, but I had no time to care about their stares. I walked straight to my supervisor Jack's office. Jack immediately stood up when he saw how pale and sweaty I looked. "Nathan, what happened?" he asked, concern in his tone. I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. "Jack, I need to take a few days off," I said. "I just found my wife and Ryan in the break room." "I think you can guess what happened." Jack's expression changed from shock to sympathy. He nodded and said, "Sure, Nathan. Take as long as you need. We'll take care of things here." I nodded gratefully and left the office. On the drive home, I had a complete emotional breakdown. I cried as I drove, the life I had built over several years completely collapsing in a matter of minutes. When I got home, my anger and sadness exploded. I smashed several of Olivia's favorite vases and tore up our wedding pictures. I cursed loudly and let my emotions vent. I couldn't believe that my beloved wife, the mother of my children, would betray our family in this way. Olivia didn't come home that night. I suspected she might have gone to her sister Carmen's house. I began to think about the next steps, knowing that the video in my possession would be key evidence in the divorce proceedings. The next morning, I called the company's HR department and explained the situation in detail. They expressed understanding and promised to handle this sensitive issue appropriately. I also contacted a divorce attorney recommended by a friend and scheduled a consultation. The whole thing left me feeling both angry and heartbroken. I began to think back on our marriage and realized that Olivia may have been cheating on me from the beginning. She seemed to care more about what I could offer her than actually loving me. I remembered her charming smile when we first met, our first date, the tears in her eyes when I asked her to marry me. All of these memories are now becoming bitter. I was determined to end this painful relationship and find a better future for myself and my children. As an insurance sales representative, I was always preparing my clients for their future, but I never thought I would need this kind of insurance for my own life. Over the next few days, I began to work on the various aspects of the divorce. I organized our finances and gathered evidence that could be used to prove Olivia's infidelity. I also contacted my siblings for support and advice. I knew that the next few days were going to be very difficult. Not only would I have to deal with the legal process of divorce, but I would also have to take care of 3 children who could be severely affected by this storm. But I was determined to get through this difficult time, rebuild my life, and be a strong support for my children. Though still filled with a sense of pain and betrayal inside, I am beginning to realize that this could be a new beginning. Perhaps, through this experience, I could grow into a stronger, wiser person. I decided to use this crisis as an opportunity to reassess my life goals and values. Just as I was thinking about all this, Olivia's call came in. I hesitated for a moment, but answered it. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew that no matter what, my life would never be the same again. After finding out about Olivia's betrayal, I felt completely devastated. I decided to reach out to my siblings for support and advice. The first thing I did was to call and confide in my brother Eric, a veteran who now runs a security company, about the whole thing. Immediately after hearing what I was going through, he offered to come and see me. A short time later, Eric arrived at my house with a toolbox. He hugged me tightly, a hug that conveyed the deep brotherhood between us. Eric told me that he had stopped on the way to buy new door locks. He emphasized that the last thing I needed was for Olivia to come back later and take everything. We talked for almost 2 hours, and Eric helped me change the locks. He and his wife Sarah did their best to comfort me and try to cheer me up. My sister Rachel also came to see me and give me support. It was comforting to have the support of my family, but I still couldn't shake the disturbing image. The next day was Sunday, and Olivia's sister Carmen called me. At first, Eric didn't want me to answer, but I reminded him that the kids were still with her. Carmen asked what was going on and said that Olivia wouldn't be coming home, but didn't explain why. I decided to tell her the truth, that I had found out Olivia was cheating on me at my workplace. Carmen didn't believe me at first, accusing me of lying and saying her sister wouldn't do that. I told her I had proof and promised to show it to her. After hanging up, I sent her the video evidence. The day after, I went to work and approached my supervisor, Jack, to discuss the situation. Surprisingly, Jack was very supportive. He gave me a special leave request form and promised to handle this sensitive issue properly. Jack's expression became serious when I mentioned that I had video evidence. He immediately contacted HR and company counsel. A few days later, Carmen called me again. She said the kids wanted to come home and wanted me to talk to Olivia. I agreed to pick up the kids, but said I didn't want to talk to Olivia. Carmen thought I should be more reasonable for the sake of the family. But I insisted that Olivia had betrayed me and I had nothing to say. Carmen tries to defend her sister by saying that things may not be what I think they are. She began to reveal some of the details that Olivia had told her. According to Carmen, Olivia admitted that she did have an inappropriate relationship with my coworker Ryan, but it all started with a harmless flirtation. Olivia told Carmen that initially she just picked me up at work, but then started talking to my coworkers at lunchtime. She said Ryan started complimenting her, especially on her appearance and intelligence, which made her feel flattered but happy. Things start to get out of hand at the company's annual dinner, where Olivia is invited as a family member of an employee, and where she and Ryan have more interaction. They danced and drank together, which eventually led to a more intimate encounter. Carmen describes that Olivia admitted that she was attracted to Ryan's charm and sense of humor. Things got hotter and they started seeing each other in secret. Olivia would excuse herself to go to the gym or a yoga class and actually meet Ryan. Hearing these details made me feel even more angry and hurt. I couldn't believe that Olivia would betray our marriage like that. Carmen tried to defend her sister by saying that Olivia felt guilty and regretful, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. The next day, I picked up the kids. Emily, Max, and Sophie were happy to see me, but mentioned that Olivia had been distracted and impatient with them lately. When I arrived, Olivia was in the kitchen on the phone with Carmen, completely ignoring me. The kids want to take their iPad, but Olivia refuses, insisting that she bought it. This led to a heated argument. I relented and called her a selfish liar. She shot back and called me a coward for getting Ryan fired. Our argument escalated with mutual insults. Olivia said we should work things out like adults, but I countered that real adults don't betray their families. I said that as an insurance sales rep, I always told my clients to prepare for the future, but I never wanted to insure myself against a failed marriage. In the heat of the argument, we even started throwing things at each other. I threw a picture frame at Olivia containing our wedding picture, and she hit me in the head with a thick phone book. Luckily, neither of us got hit. Eventually, Eric and Carmen intervened and stopped our fight. After leaving the scene, I felt exhausted, but also a strange sense of relief that I had finally confronted Olivia. I told the children that we would get through this difficult time and that I would always be there for them. Although they seemed confused and frustrated, they seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. Right now, my priority is to move forward with the divorce proceedings. I have consulted with several attorneys, and they all agree that the video I shot will play a major role in the divorce proceedings. The video not only proves Olivia's infidelity, but also demonstrates her indifference to our marriage. Looking back on the whole thing, I realized that I probably should have seen the signs a long time ago. Olivia always seemed to be more interested in what I could do for her than actually caring about our relationship. She wasn't looking for love, she was craving excitement and attention. My attraction and pursuit of her was what she really cared about, which explains why she cheated on me. Relationships built on such foundations are doomed to fail. People like Olivia will always go back to their nature, no matter how good a partner they meet. Her unquenchable thirst for attention is especially evident in her frequent use of social media. She has a large number of followers on Instagram, about 80% of whom are male, and their comments are often inappropriate, which requires me to have a very thick skin to deal with. Now that it's over, I have to face reality. I am determined to seek a better future for myself and my children. Although the process is full of pain, I believe that eventually we will find happiness and peace. My real family, my children, my siblings, and even Carmen, if she finally realizes the severity of Olivia's behavior, will be my motivation to move forward. This experience has taught me a lot. As an insurance sales rep, I always emphasize the importance of saving for a rainy day, but I never thought I would need to prepare for the risks of relationships. I've learned to be more appreciative of the people who truly care about me, and I've learned to be vigilant and honest in my relationships. Although the hurt is still deep, I believe that time will heal everything. I have begun to replan my life, including my career and personal growth. I have decided to become more involved in my work and hope to find new meaning by helping others prepare for their own futures. I also started attending a post-divorce support group where I met many people going through similar encounters. By sharing each other's stories and feelings, I feel less alone. I've even begun to consider offering some advice on financial planning for this group in hopes of helping others avoid some of the common financial pitfalls as they rebuild their lives. For my children, I made a commitment to be a better father. I have scheduled more family time and tried to create a stable and loving environment. While they are still adjusting to their new lifestyle, I see them slowly coming to terms with the change. As difficult as this journey has been, I know that this is just one chapter of my life, not the whole story. I look forward to writing new and better chapters. I believe that through this experience, I will not only be a better father and brother, but I will also be a better insurance advisor because I now truly understand the unpredictable risks of life. As I stood by Boston Harbor and watched the sunset, I felt a new hope rise in my heart. I know there is a long road ahead, but I am ready for new challenges and opportunities. This is not the end, but a new beginning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.